Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well friends, it's time for me to resume my Sofia the First memory lane, and since this year is still the year of the dragon, why don't I look at an episode that's dragon themed? Now, I know that I've already looked at a few that did involve Crackle, like the Leaf Song Festival, Scrambled Pets, and Bad Little Dragon, along with a couple others like The Curse of Princess Ivy, The Tale of the Noble Knight, and The Tale of the Eternal Torch. However, for today's blog, we're going to look at an episode where Crackle takes a very special dragon friend to an annual picnic. Airing on television on July 21st, 2017, this is The Royal Dragon. And now, on for the plot of the episode. In this, Crackle wants to attend the annual Dragon Roast and Toast, and since she needs to take a dragon buddy, which she doesn't have, Sofia uses her amulet to turn into a dragon and attend the event with her. But during the event, Crackle starts making up lies in order to top her rival, Sizzle. Meanwhile, Sir Oliver is plotting revenge on the dragons for his banishment from Brazendell. So, what are my thoughts on this episode? Well, in my opinion, this was really hot, and it got to be one of my favorite episodes from Season 4. And to further explain what I mean, let's move on to Mustang Notes. Now, there's not a lot of trivia to say, except for the fact that the episode's moral is, it's important to be yourself if you want to make a friend, which is another lesson that I know about. As for the animation, well, in my opinion, the CGI animation by Toei is still excellent, and I find it interesting that this is the second episode that mainly takes place in Brazendell. However, there are a couple animation goofs, like where Sofia is missing her enchantment during some takes after the episode's climax, and the bonfire being missing during the aerial show, and when Sir Oliver catches most of the dragons. Anyway, to me, I think the Dragon Roast and Toast seems like a pretty fun event, where dragons from every kingdom come together to show off fire-breathing tricks, sing dragon songs, and perform flying stunts. Plus, a few of the dragons featured in this episode are some whom Sofia has met before, like Smokely, Flambeau, Nightlight, Hobwing, and McBlazon from the Misty Palisades, and Wellowing, whom was one of the dragons from Brazendell. Also, I must mention that since this episode begins in Zumaria, it's presumed that Sofia must have helped Vivian's family stop Baron von Roca sometime between this and the Day of the Sorcerers episode. And now, let's talk about the episode's song, All Fired Up, sung by Crackle and Sizzle. In my opinion, this song is absolutely awesome to listen to, and I think it makes a pretty catchy duet. However, I think Sizzle's verses are the best, due to her singing sounding almost like Pat Benatar, and the rhythm feeling a bit reminiscent to Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Plus, I just love the parts where both Sizzle and Crackle use their smoke and fire breaths to make different shapes. And now, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. Our main character, Crackle, is once again voiced by Ellie Kemper, whom I remember as Katie from the Secret Life of Pets movies, Smurf Blossom in Smurfs the Lost Village, and Pen McKenzie in Home Sweet Home Alone. In my eyes, Crackle is still a loud, hyperactive, and outgoing dragon, and she does get jealous around anybody who grabs all the attention, like her childhood rival Sizzle, for example. And during this episode, we learn that when Crackle was younger, she used to be very shy, kinda like Vivian used to be, which made it hard for her to make a new dragon buddy. And while attending the Dragon Roast and Toast with Sofia, Crackle hopes to make a new friend and impress the other dragons. Unfortunately, it becomes really hard for her, with Sizzle constantly showing her up and getting in the way. Also, the part where Crackle mentions the time when she performed at the Leaf Song Festival was a pretty good moment, but then she goes a bit too far when she calls Sofia the Royal Dragon of Enchantia, and when she tries to do a loop-de-spin. Still, the part where Crackle alerts Sofia about Sir Oliver attempting to capture the dragons, and where they, along with Sizzle, work together to stop him, makes up for all that. Next is Princess Sofia, voiced again by Ariel Winter. Best known as young Kairi in the Kingdom Hearts game series, Marina in Jake and the Neverland Pirates, Macy in Winx Club, a few of Thumper's sisters in Bambi 2, young Trixie in Speed Racer, Marlene in the complete version of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, Penny Peterson in DreamWorks' Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and Smurf Lily in Smurfs The Lost Village. To me, Sofia is still a kind, compassionate, and helpful princess, and during this episode, I like that she accompanies Crackle to the annual Dragon Roast and Toast. Plus, I think Sofia's dragon form is not only beautiful and cute, but she kind of looks like a female version of Spike the Dragon. Also, I like that Sofia tries to help Crackle make a new dragon friend, which almost reminds me of her role in the Camp Wilderwood episode. And I like that she helps both Crackle and Sizzle put aside their differences. Our next character is Sizzle, voiced by Jane Krakowski, whom I remember as Rapunzel's Aunt Willow in the Tangled animated series, Mrs. Potts in the Beauty and the Beast Broadway musical, Helga Willoughby from the Willoughbys, and Queen Haven from My Little Pony: A New Generation. Sizzle is Crackle's childhood rival, and according to Crackle, she's always been the star of every show. She has the widest wingspan, she knows all the best fire tricks, and has the most friends. Throughout this episode, Sizzle spends much of her time competing with Crackle for the other dragon's attention, while showing off her talents and bragging about stuff that the Duchess has been teaching her. Plus, she's the only dragon who doesn't fawn over Sofia and is unimpressed with her excellent flying. However, after the other dragons get captured by Sir Oliver, Sizzle confesses that the Duchess hadn't been teaching her anything, and that everything she said about herself were just tall tales she made up. Thankfully, at the end of the episode, I like that she and Crackle make up, and I found it really sweet that they agreed to go with each other to next year's Roast and Toast. Another character to talk about is the Duchess, voiced by April Winchell, whom I remember as the voice of Clarabelle Cow and Miss Finster from the Recess series. This character is the leader of all the dragons in the Everrealm, and she hosts the annual Dragon Roast and Toast. To me, I find her to be a very wise dragon, and I like the part where she saves Sofia after she accidentally reverts back to her human form, courtesy of Crackle, and the part where she shows hers and the other dragons' gratefulness to Sofia, Crackle, and Sizzle for saving them from Sir Oliver. Finally, we come to the episode's villain, Sir Oliver, once again voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. Now, for those who don't remember, Sir Oliver was introduced in the Tale of the Noble Knight episode, where he plotted to retrieve and use the Icefire Shield to drive the dragons away from Brazendell in order to make himself look like a big hero to his kingdom. Thankfully, Sofia and Sir Jackson were able to stop him and reveal that his reason for threatening the dragons and seeking the Icefire Shield was so that he could become First Knight, which led to him getting exiled. Anyway, during this episode, Sir Oliver plans to disrupt the dragon's roast and toast as revenge for his banishment. To me, Sir Oliver is still as egotistical, rude, and arrogant as his previous appearance. Plus, I find his first two failed attempts to be really silly, due to his water balloon splashing him and his ants going after sugar cubes. However, for his plan C, Sir Oliver attempts to use fireproof nets to capture the dragons, which was overheard by Crackle from a nearby hiding place, and he successfully executes his plan with most of the dragons getting trapped. But thankfully, Sofia, Crackle, and Sizzle manage to work together to free the dragons and drive off Sir Oliver. Other voices in this episode include Kimiko Glenn, John Michael Higgins, Sam Riegel, Mick Winger, and Chris Redd. And now on to my final words. Overall, The Royal Dragon is another great episode in Princess Sofia's 4th season. The CGI animation is amazing as usual, even though there were a couple goofs. I like how the episode turns the break out of your shell plot more interesting by adding in a thick layer of ego. Crackle was a fun main character due to her cheerfulness, even though she did go a bit over the top and exaggerative at times. Princess Sofia was great when it comes to accompanying Crackle to the roast and toast and helping her make new dragon friends. As for Sizzle, well, she has the whole tough chick image, which makes her pretty fun to watch, but she does gain more sympathy when we find out that she's a lot like Crackle in a way. And the villain, Sir Oliver, is still an egotistical, rude, and arrogant jerk. Also to note, the episode's song is a catchy and hot tune to listen to, and I like that the episode teaches viewers to not go over the top in making friends, have confidence, and take the time to develop friendships, and above all, be honest. As for my rating, I'll give it a 97% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where we look at one more episode centering on Clover. Mustang Power.